think number one is just getting involved. TechAide is kind of your window on what Centech's doing in a nice, easy, approachable way. And I think that once you start to get a feel, as Sophie and I have mentioned, of just how amazing, these are entrepreneurs in the social sector. They're almost, our brothers, our sisters, our cousins, and just getting to know what they're doing suddenly sort of raises your awareness and your desire to, The second thing is, you can become an ambassador if you really see that, would like to be, even more involved in animating events, coming up with ideas, just helping this, build momentum, expanding our network. I want to go back to something Sophie said, because I reminded how I started. I think maybe there's a worry that, if you're still a small startup and you don't have a lot of resources and maybe, salaries are not huge, even a small amount is incredibly important. And I don't feel bad about giving a small amount. I think it's just that's how I started. It was just kind of easy deduction at source. I think I just remember one of my first was maybe $38 every second pay. That's already netted. Actually, it's probably half that, because immediately, the tax cuts. It's a charity, so half of that actually comes back onto your net salary. So just that starting now. There's something also powerful for you just to know that you are giving back even a little bit. And as you grow, you can kind of grow into different ways of giving back. So I think that awareness, being part of the community, there's ancillary benefits of being part of a community as, suddenly somebody that maybe also then comes back to help your business in some shape or form, and you know them in another way, in a more intimate relationship that just kind of breaks the barriers. And then also just starting. Even if it's $10, $20, it's all of that is just fantastic. It just kind of creates as you described it, Sophie, just
an habit.
A habit that's, I think, super important for all of us. And you do feel good about it. At the end of the day, when you look at what you accumulated, all those $10, wow, I actually probably had a big impact to somebody in my community.
Yeah.
What about you, Sophie? Any advice for founders or for teams that are thinking about it but not quite sure?
Yeah, I think we can make it very simple. So leaders in companies, if you think it would be, impactful that your company get involved, you can actually contact me. Very easy. You can find me online. You can send me an email. You can call me. I'm sure you can contact Alan also. And we don't do much, but we can direct you at Centech, one person that is in charge of tech that can help you. That's very simple. You can, and that would be step one, to say, I'd love my company to do something. And then they can tell you everything you can do. And the simplest way, like Alan was saying, is, okay, have a campaign with your employees to see, can we set an objective? We're the small company, 50 employees. How much can we give back? Maybe it's $1,000. Maybe it's not much. Maybe it's $500. I don't know. But, we set an objective and we start. And then the following year, maybe you'll have, another objective. Maybe you'll participate in activities, but start somewhere. Ideally, if you're the leader of the company, I would say finding a champion, because the one that have been very successful that I've seen in tech so far, they have one person in the company that really believes in it and decides to go above and beyond. So finding that champion, because as the CEO or the founder of the company, maybe it's going to be hard for you to find the time. So contact us, tell us, I want to do something. Secondly, find a champion and start simple with giving money out of the payroll. And then maybe you can go to activities or do both. But I think, and we're talking with the group at Centech to see if we can organize bigger visits. So visiting an organization. So either yourself or somebody in your company come to one of those visits makes a huge difference. Because once you visit, you're like, oh, I can see it's very concrete what I'm doing, what I'm helping. So I really feel that money is making a difference.
Just one other thing to add, Sophie, because it was also maybe your sort of entry point into TechAide. I think events like this, we've got the AI tournament, we've got TechAide, there's going to be a new improv night this year. There's the soccer tournament, there's volleyball. I think it's also a great team building thing that's kind of already organized, that you can jump in, and it's kind of also another sort of entry point into that's good for your company. And then you get exposed to what TechAide and Montre does. And that's another way to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. for sure.
Yeah, good point, Alan. Yeah, you're right. We organize so many events that I think it's like you said, it's a great way for not just the tech meeting other people in the community, but for team building within your own company. And maybe a point from left field, but it's like I think generally the tech sector, I'm a techno optimist and maybe a bit naive, but it tends to create abundance, right? So I think with enough time, it's going to alleviate a lot of poverty. It's going to raise the standard of living across the planet, but it's going to take a long time, right? The compounding and the exponential curve is going to take a while, right? So until then, there are real issues to solve, right? Like poverty is not going to go away magically, so it needs to be tackled head on, right? And I find that's what's really cool about today's conversation is people like yourselves are taking time out of their very busy schedules to try and give back, to get together and have an impact. So for that, I want to thank you. It's been a super inspiring conversation. Sophie, Alan, Amy, maybe any final words of wisdom?
Well, I wanted to add to what you just said because I think it's a great point. Sometimes we don't realize because we live in this bubble, but just think about inflation. A lot of larger tech companies or whatever did compensate for the inflation, so a lot of the employees got raises and so on and so forth. But if you're in the poverty or you're struggling, the inflation is just hitting you in the face. Like you don't have any way to counterpart the inflation. And all of those organizations that are helping, all the neighborhoods in Montreal, for them, it's just net negative. So yes, I think tech is a positive long-term. Short-term, all those problems that we're talking about or those challenges are just way bigger than they used to be a year and 2 years ago. So even more a reason to give back and get involved.
I just reiterate what you've both said, getting together, giving back, it's good for Montreal. I also think it's really good for you. Definitely good for your company. So highly encourage everybody to learn more and to jump on.
Great. Awesome. We'll link to everything we spoke about today in the show notes, as well as, how to connect and the websites of Centech and TechAide. And then Sophie, Alan, just thank you so much. It's been a great conversation. I really appreciate your time today.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Nectar. Love your podcast. So thanks for doing your PNR work as well.
As always, thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe. If you want to learn more, check out thepnr.com.